Hello students, welcome to episode 4 of How to Write Your Thesis Statement. This video is going to complete the series. It's going to share with you 3 tricks to writing a thesis statement. These are not things that you need to follow precisely all the time, but they should be helpful for you in writing any type of thesis. So trick number 4 that I'll be dealing with, and the first one for this video, is sometimes writing a complex sentence will help you craft a better thesis statement. And so what is a complex sentence? It is a sentence that contains a subordinate clause or conjunction. And as you can see here from EnglishStudyHere.com, which I found through Google, you can see a list of different subordinating conjunctions. So you could use some of these words, plug them right into your thesis statement, usually at the front end of it, and then after that phrase, insert a comma, and you will be good to go. And so I will show you what that'll look like. So we're going to try it out here. So let's do some practice. So our thesis statement that we had, one of the better ones from a previous video, was the federal government should tax the sale of soda in order to dissuade people from purchasing it because it is unhealthy. So we need to try and insert a subordinate conjunction in the front end of this sentence. So pause the video now, take a few minutes, try to use a subordinate conjunction somewhere in this thesis statement, even if you have to revise it. So compare what you got with what I have here. I decided to use the word although, and everything else is very similar. Although people have the right to buy what they want, the federal government should tax the sale of soda in order to dissuade them from purchasing the harmful drinks. Yes, I did change some things around, but this subordinate clause in the front end of this thesis statement is giving me an idea to compare and contrast to in the paper. It's not my main idea. My main idea is still the federal government taxing part, but adding this subordinate conjunction with the word although gives me more play in my paper. Because now I'm going to be talking about this idea of freedom and how freedom in this case might not matter as much as protecting people from harmful drinks. Now what I want you to do is pause the video and try it out again using a different word, and note that you can revise part of your argument and part of the thesis statement. So pause the video, try that now. This is the new one that I was able to come up with. I completely changed it a bit, and I changed the heart of the argument, but that's okay to do. That's part of editing and revising your thesis statement. So we went from the federal government should tax the sale of soda in order to dissuade people from purchasing it because it is unhealthy, to now my second addition here is unless, subordinate conjunction, unless the federal government taxes soda, obesity rates and type 2 diabetes will climb higher than previous generations. Now, did my argument change? Yes and no. It changed in the sense of I rephrased it, but I'm still talking about the federal government taxing soda. I'm still talking about it being unhealthy, but I'm being more specific here. So this is probably a better thesis statement than what we had previously, and I was able to come to this conclusion using subordinate conjunctions. So let's try it one more time. We have our original thesis statement. I want you to pause the video, try revising it yet again using a different type of subordinate conjunction this time. And don't be afraid to change the heart of the argument if necessary. So this is what I was able to come up with for the third time. Since soda is an unhealthy drink, the federal government should dissuade the public from drinking it by imposing the same taxes that it does on items like cigarettes and alcohol. So yes, the heart of my argument has changed. At first, it was just about the taxing in order to persuade people not to buy it. Then it was about the type 2 diabetes and the obesity rates climbing unless the federal government gets involved. And now it's about the taxing being implemented because it already does that for other harmful objects and items like cigarettes and alcohol. So notice how using this little trick of inserting a subordinate conjunction in the front end of the sentence can often help you revise and beef up your own thesis statements. So trick number 5 then is to use strong verbs because they allow you to be clear, which was one of our previous tips, and concise or precise, which was also one of our tips, with your language. So ultimately you want to avoid some of these words, and you can read them here on the screen. These are to be verbs: is, am, are, was, were. Go through your writing and see how often you actually use this. Usually when you're using state of being verbs or to be verbs, you are writing in the passive voice. And in academic writing, you want to try to write in the active voice as much as possible. Now, this does not mean you could never use any of these words, but you do want to try to eliminate them as frequently as you can. So let's take a look at our thesis statement that we had. We know that we want to rewrite this to make it sound better and avoid some of these words. We know that it uses the word like should, that should be eliminated, pun intended, and also the word is, or the verb is, should also be eliminated. So pause the video, see if you're able to revise this using perhaps a subordinating conjunction and now also coupled with this idea of eliminating the words should and is. So I came up with, if the federal government imposes a tax on soda, American consumption will decrease while healthier options increase. Notice I did have trouble here eliminating all of them altogether. I could not eliminate the will. Now I did go from two state of being verbs and words that we should avoid like should and is to only one, will. But this is a better thesis statement. This is now probably, in my opinion, the best thesis statement I was able to come up with in regards to all of this. So it is very important to do this because it's an easy way of revising it, especially if you add the complex sentences part. Now, our last trick is never, ever, 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 absolutely, positively, never list in your thesis statement. Usually, three-pronged thesis statements are lists, and I'll give you an example. Soda is bad because it contains food coloring, aspartame, high sugar, and corn syrup. Now, this is four-pronged, but we are familiar with this type of thesis statement. This type of thesis statement needs to be eliminated from what we're used to. We need to forget about it. Yes, you'll say, oh, but this is what I was told. This is what I was taught for years. Yeah, but once you get into high school writing and college writing, you should no longer be writing like you did when you were in 6th grade. You learned those skills then for a reason, and now it's time to cast those off, forget about them, and have things that are more complex. So use subordinating conjunctions, use stronger verbs, be clear, be precise, be a sniper in your thesis statement, and you will be on your way to writing a fantastic paper.